Welcome. So I don't get to do it in the round often. This is awesome. Hello. Welcome to the Complex Hollywood. It's so nice to see you all here today. I wanted to tell you a few things. There's an emergency exit out the back here. If you're sitting in an aisle, please be aware if there's an emergency that you should probably take your chair with you. The other thing is we have a matinee happening today in the Dory, which is right across the lobby. So I think it's going to time out perfectly where they're still going and we get out. So if we could be aware of that and maybe move conversations and stuff out onto the sidewalk for our fellow artists, I'd really appreciate it. How many of you are still looking for venues? Okay. All right, myself and Matt Quinn from the Theater Asylum are going to be around today if you'd like to talk to us about anything. So afterwards, we will be able to be found. Okay? So have a great meeting, you guys. Learn lots.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Ellen. I head up outreach for the Hollywood Fringe, and this is incredible. Thank you guys all for coming. We're so excited. Thank you so much to Monica and the Complex for hosting us today. Thank you to the other staff that is here. Dave Wave, he's our producing director. And Matt Kamimura for taking pictures. Yay. And Stina was helping out with volunteers. And we have two wonderful volunteers who have been helping us all day, and we can't thank them enough for doing this with us. Afterwards, instead of hanging out outside, why don't we go hang out at our mixer? Yeah. It's at 3 clubs. We have specials on drinks, $5 wells, $5 beers, I think wine too. Lots of different specials going on there, so you guys should come talk to us there. And we'd be glad to answer any questions that don't get answered during the panel. For the Q&A, it's an hour of talk where we talk about some questions that we have, and then an hour, like 45 minutes today of Q&A, where you guys can ask any of your questions. Let's try and keep it kind of general to something that somebody else might be wondering too. And then at the mixer afterwards, you can of course come back to some more specific questions. And you can always email support@hollywoodfringe.org with any of your questions. And it's like a master wizard. It'll know, or if it doesn't know, it'll find out. So yeah, I really quickly want to introduce Nancy from NoHoArtsDistrict.com. She wants to say just a little blurb really quick about that. Go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh God, no, what trip. I get nervous up here. Okay, I'm the publisher of NoHoArtsDistrict.com. We're in the Valley, and I have to tell you something. Coming to Hollywood here, walking these streets, it brought me back home to New York, and I miss it, and I feel, never mind, I can't say that about the Valley. But anyway, for 7 years, we've been a sponsor of the Hollywood Fringe. We've been blessed to have that. And every year we've had a promotions package that's offered for Hollywood Fringe productions. And I've left a sheet out there. I got about 40 of them. And if you don't have enough, I'm going to put some of my business cards out there. And if you're interested, I'm Nancy at NoHoArtsDistrict.com. And basically what we represent, we're the largest theater website in San Fernando Valley. We do the marketing for all the theaters there. And we try to bring basically the San Fernando Valley ticket market to you, okay? And yes, they do travel past NoHo Arts District for sure, especially Hollywood, which took me surprisingly 10 minutes to get here, right from the heart of the district, so it's easy. So any questions about promotion, marketing, give me a call. My email is on the sheet, which is outside, and Dave Keever certainly knows how to get a hold of me if all else fails. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the energy.
So could we get a show of hands as to who's a first-time producer at the Hollywood Fringe? So most of you guys are. That's amazing. Great. We have a lot of events to help support that, so I'm going to go through a laundry list of them, but they're all on hollywoodfringe.org in different places. If you can't find them on our website, always email support, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. We have an upcoming Twitter chat on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. Take that little lunch break during your 2 to 3 p.m. and engage with us online. It's like a big party where we all talk online and talk about the Fringe. It's curated by Bella Luna, our social media manager, and we have a fun time. It's Great. The registration deadline is April 1st to have your info in our printed guide. April 15th is the deadline to buy an ad in the guide, although we always appreciate if you buy it sooner. We have Town Hall number 2, which is all about marketing, so it's very similar to today's. And that's Tuesday, April 3rd from 8 to 10 p.m. at the Assistance League Playhouse. That's where our festival director, Ben Hill, is on stage giving you tons of information. Then you can also ask him some questions. We have another workshop in the style like this where we have panelists, and that is about festival expectations. Since it's a different thing than a normal theater festival, we like to talk about what we do, what you can, how you can be supported. And that's Saturday, April 21st from 2 to 4 p.m. at Studio Stage. And that is hosted by Stacey Jones-Hill, our communications director. Office hours, which is like a big party where we all drink together in person, begins on March 28th, and it begins at St. Felix from 7 to 10 p.m. It's a great opportunity to get to know each other and get to know your fellow participants, as well as do some marketing. Every single one of these town halls and workshops is recorded and posted on Fringe TV online, and you should go and watch them all. To engage now, make sure you're signed up for our Fringe emails, follow us on social media, and make sure that you use our hashtag HFF18. And with that, I'm going to stop talking. Yeah? Okay, cool. So I'm going to have each panelist kind of introduce themselves. Who are you? What have you done? Are you doing Fringe this year? And why Fringe?
Ooh.
So whoever wants to start can start.
I can start since I'm on.
Yeah, do it.
Hi everyone, my name is Sofie Khan. My show last year was Mexistani, growing up. Woohoo! Growing up Mexican and Pakistani in America. It's nuts. And if we are doing the Fringe this year?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure because I have a couple of commitments. I'm booked for a film, so we will see. But I am, if anyone wants to, I'm all for auditioning for anyone else's production. So if you need a Mexistani in your production, let me know.
We all need Mexistani. We all need it.
And then I'm also doing some digital marketing workshops and all that kind of stuff. So I'm focusing on contributing and helping others as well because I really enjoyed that during my experience last year. So at the very least, I will register some digital marketing. I also do graphic design and all that kind of stuff. So and UX design. So I'm looking forward to contributing in that way first.
And why Fringe?
Why Fringe? Oh my gosh, why not? It is an awesome place to network with other like-minded folks. It's great to see the passion that other folks have for whatever they're producing. It's great to be exposed to such a wide array of other people's creative projects. I think there was even a play last year that normally I wouldn't have gone to see, but this producer, she reached out to me. She's like, hey, so I would love to see your show. Would you love to see my show? And it was that kind of an exchange, and I was just like, yeah, sure. And I had never heard of the topic or the folks that she had been talking about. It was out of my comfort zone and whatnot, but it was such an awesome show, and I was like, wow, I really learned a lot from watching that person's show. It's also, in comparison with other Fringe festivals that I've gone to in other cities, it's also just people are just so committed, and they go all out. And there's a huge commitment even by the city, just by having the Hollywood Fringe posters on the banners, on the streets and stuff. And and in other cities, it was just kind of like ghost town, even when Fringe Festival was going on. So it was really exciting. It was great to, it was a great experience. I got to accomplish some things that I didn't think I was able to accomplish. So it's a really great experience to push yourself and see what you're made of. So, yeah.
Do you want to go, Tom?
Sure. My name's Tom Cavanaugh. I've been doing Fringe since 2014. That's my rank. That's what I call it. My rank. Ba-boom-ba. I keep them in my car, so because I'm ABF, I'm going to always be fringing. Remember it, yeah, remember it, because you were in. You are now the class of 2018. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And last year, I produced and directed a one-woman show. Jenny Fawn, I saw her do 10-minute monologue in a workshop. We talked about it. I'm like, you got a Fringe show here. Her and my brother have been friends for like 30 years. We developed a show. We started Under the Jello Mold, which is still running. I haven't stopped fringing, thank you. But no, we open next Sunday at the Pico Playhouse for probably what's going to be maybe a 6-month run where we run once a week at the theater. We had a great 12-week run at the Whitefire. We were part of Solo Fest. She's going to be part of the LA Women's Theater Festival. It happens. And the year before that, I was the worst show on Bitter Lemons. I was a show that people hated. And I was like, oh, that's fine. But I wasn't, I was proud of it. I loved it. I was a Fringe. And it's the best. And totally, since 2014, I've written 6 Fringe shows, produced and written and directed 3, and now writing on what's going to be Nick and Brooke's karaoke party. There you go. See, people know Nick and Brooke. So I'm one of the writers on Nick and Brooke, which I was last year too. This is something we're going to keep trying to bring back and even bring in a Christmas show. And why Fringe? I'm going to be honest with you, because this is family to me. I love these Fringe people. I'll tell you why. 2011, a girl I was close with, who was friends with, I loved dearly, either shot herself in the head or committed suicide. And 2.5 months later, my mom died suddenly. So for 3 years, I was in a depression. And my Hollywood writing career slacked. And I read about this, and I was talking to my brother. I'm like, what do you think about this? He goes, I think you should do it. He goes, yeah. I said, I'm going to do it because either I'm going to get on the boards, right, in Hollywood and get noticed by the independent theater community, which this is what it is, or I'm going home. And I put that challenge to me. It was the greatest experience. Back then, Fringe Central was in the parking lot across the street. But from the minute you walked in, people were, it was the only time in Hollywood, and I say this every year, I just said this to somebody over lunch, it's the only time in Hollywood where theater owners want to talk to you, producers want to talk to you, directors want to talk to you, people you don't know want to talk to you. It's so not, this is the Hollywood community for real. And my friends from 2014, Sardia Robinson is one. She does a show called From a Yardie to a Yankee, which is her story of Jamaica. See, look, boom. See? Her and I have been friends in 2014, and we met in a Twitter chat for this, right? Because that'll come up. You'll see that. Because it's a Twitter chat, and we've been friends ever since. A long line of people since 2014. This is the community. And then I'll move on. But that 2014 show, which was it was on this stage, only had folding chairs, 6 actors and 8 monologues. That's all it was. No costumes, no sets, no lights. Because I'm like, I'm going to make this real simple and do something good for my writing. When it was done, I was invited to become members of 2 developmental theater companies. And I got my first commission to write a play for a theater company in Glendale, all because of Hollywood Fringe. So it works. As well as being, it's family. It's always going to be family.
It is Fringe family. Hi, I'm Kat Primeau. I've been fringing since the very first year that it came here, and I'm so glad because it's grown into such a beautiful thing, and it always was a beautiful thing made from love. The staff and everyone involved in it really are coming at it from a place of love and encouragement, and it's a wonderful community to be a part of. So I'm very honored to be here and to have participated as a critic, as a producer, as a performer. I've done 4 Fringe shows where I've produced and performed in them, and last year did the musical Turbulence, which we were able to take off Broadway in New York after performing it here. Had a very successful run there as well. So it was wonderful to be able to, we improvise musicals, and we also have then scripted some of them, and the past 3 have all premiered at Hollywood Fringe, and it's been a wonderful audience to perform for, and really exciting to get people into musicals, and especially contemporary ones that can pass the Bechdel test and like really are doing something innovative narratively. What other questions am I supposed to answer? So this year we will be doing a Fringe show. I don't have too much information right now, but keep your eyes open for Robot Teammate. That's the producing company, and that's what we've done the 3 musicals with. But this year we've got something entirely new, so looking forward to chatting about that maybe on the Twitter chat or something soon. And yeah, why Fringe? I mean, the freaks are the
bombs.
Yeah, they're that's what LA is to me, in the sense that you meet people and it's like, what are you doing? Like, oh, I'm creating this foot massage, immersive sushi eating experience. Yeah, and so the response is like, awesome, I want to see that. Not like, when are you getting a real job, you know? So for me, this is like the cream of the crop of that world, and it's all here in Fringe. So I look forward to seeing you all joining the community this year. And congrats for showing up today, because that's a great first step.
I'm Monica Miklas. I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me. Especially with these folks who are so awesome. I have produced, well, counting this coming year, in 8 of the 9 Hollywood Fringes, starting in 2010 when Kev did as well. I work now with a company that I co-founded called Capital W. We do immersive and site-specific work. We did a show a couple years ago at Fringe called Hamlet Mobile.
So good.
It was Hamlet in a van. And we did a show last year called Red Flags, which was a one-on-one experience in which the audience member goes on a first date with a character whose life is kind of going off the rails. So I'm your resident weird girl, in case you didn't know. And Red Flags actually continued running after Fringe. We went to San Diego Fringe, and then we kept running in the fall into the winter in LA, and broke even on it. So. You can do that too.
It's never happened to me, but it can happen.
Let's see, what else? This year, I am, Capital W is producing a show. I can't tell you anything about it. It is a secret. And for the first time, I'm going to be in a Fringe show, which I've never done before. Yay! I'm really excited about it. Let's see, why Fringe? I'm just going to throw out some words because they spelled it out pretty well. Joy. The First Amendment, self-expression, community, family. I'll say joy one more time.
Yeah.
It really is. It's an undervalued emotion and part of our lives, and it's really important. So,
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. So I think we can kind of keep this as a conversation if you have anything to riff off of people, or if you don't want to answer something, so we can move through things fast.
Great.
I kind of want to talk about budgeting for a little bit.
Great.
Do you budget for the festival? Do you typically like to save in certain areas like props or lighting, design, and spend in others like graphic design or like costumes? What is your personal take on that?
I mean, I think one thing I stole from Monica that is smart is to budget as if you're selling 40% of the house at full price.
Yeah.
So that way, as long as you can manage to get that percentage in your audience, that you can break even. Robot Teammate has always broken even and even made some money here at the Fringe, so it is possible to do that. And I think budgeting is really smart, keeping track of all the things. I think there's even a template on the website for it. But Our strategy has always been investing in really cool graphic design that kind of encapsulates the fantastical sci-fi comic aspect of Robot Teammates' work, and that has really helped to grab some audience that already identifies with that sort of movies or whatever, and so then they're pulled into the theatrical experience.
Yeah, and quite on the opposite, it's a strategy that I've seen work really well for Robot Teammate and Mad Props because their graphics look awesome. We do a totally different approach when it comes to where we think about our spend and our marketing spend. Because we're doing immersive work, which tends to have very small audiences, and I imagine many of you will be in houses that are very small, we spend a lot less of our money on marketing. In fact, for immersive, we don't spend any money on marketing. We just rely on all word of mouth and free things like social media and whatnot. And then we spend more on things that are going to be able to travel with the production. So, for instance, on Hamlet Mobile, we knew we wanted to invest in the physical world of the show inside the van, also thinking we'd be able to use those sets again, which we did in a remount. So we invested much more on those, much more on costumes that we'd be able to take around with us, and then didn't budget as heavily in marketing because we were using like real scrappy grassroots tactics.
I start at $5,000. That's always my first key number. Then I start to break it down. I do a budget, I do a book. I brought it just to show you. Okay. This is the Jello Mold Bible.
You have your Bible.
Every receipt, everything's in there. I do it with plastic inserts so that I can always have the receipts in case I get audited. And then as we get towards the end of the 5,000, I start to develop the marketing. I always make sure there's a great graphic that can transfer into anything. Anything. All right. This is my first show. I thought this was going to be a great marketing strategy. I gave everybody buttons, but they didn't wear them because I thought the button would go nice next to the fringe and everybody's going to look at that, right? So but also that year we invested marketing-wise in 1,500 what we call fringe survival kits. And we handed out, and they had a bottle of water and candy and this button and all that, and it had that, and that was a great impression. But what I learned was going big doesn't always work, and going big isn't always great. So I'm always learning as I go along, but I'm always looking for something new. Like when the show was Big Snake, I put a plastic snake on every postcard. And that sometimes scared people when they saw it, but at least they remembered it. So Jenny came up with this last year. That's the logo. I have a great graphic artist that does it for about $300, but she's in New Jersey. We've been working together many years. And once the budget starts to get funky, I put more money into it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I like Facebook ads. I think it's a great marketing tool. I bend my budget on that. I love Fringe impressions. $75. I think it's up to 225,000 impressions for $75.
On the Fringe site.
On the Fringe site. So on the Fringe site, for $75, 225,000 times your logo will pop up somewhere. And at first, and poor Dave, because last year, because it's gotten so big, it starts to evaporate real quick in the early stages. So on Easter Sunday, I put in $75 at midnight, because I work night shift, right? I put in $75, I got my 200,000 whatever, and I check back at 2, and it's down 2,500 hits already. From midnight to like 2 in the morning on Easter Sunday, and I'm like, I write poor Dave, and I'm like, you know what? Hey, if you guys using a click farm, because there's some shady something going on here. This is Easter Sunday, and they're like, no, we get that many hits. And then I went to a friend of mine, and they're like, no, that site gets that many hits. So it's all at your fingertips. If you can bend your budget to get marketing in, that makes the difference. But I start my budget at $5,000. The theater takes at least $1,500, depending on how many shows.
The venue is usually the biggest expense.
It's going to be your
and then I start going from there. But usually my shows cost about, on the average, $7,000 because I like to market, I like to advertise.
For me, I took a lot of strategy. I used to work for Budweiser. I used to do marketing for Budweiser. You see Budweiser everywhere. So not only like digital marketing, but also physical marketing as well. So I kind of stole a lot of the strategies from that world into Fringe, because not breaking even and not making money wasn't an option for me. Just because I just come from that world, like of like no profit, whatever. But make sure, I also come from a world of making sure that I also value relationships over profit and like breaking even and all that kind of stuff too. So you have to have a balance. I was living in San Francisco during like this time in Fringe last year, before Fringe I should say. So that already at first I was like, I can't do this from San Francisco, and then I was like, no, like you just have to figure out the strategy. Whatever the obstacle, you have to figure out the solution and the strategy, because there is one. So I had to figure out, okay, so if I'm not in LA to go to office hours, to go to all these workshops, to meet people in person and promote my show, then marketing is going to be the key for me. So I heavily depended on marketing. And now, again, strategy also with marketing. I ended up bidding and bought the back page of the Fringe guide. Yeah.
That's a good investment.
But again, strategy, right? I didn't spend all the money to buy that ad. Didn't come from my pocket. Right? What I did was I already knew that I was going to be at Studio Stage. Woohoo! Studio Stage. Yeah. Awesome venue. And then what I did was I kind of like scouted like the within a 5-mile radius of Studio Stage, because I know that when you are going to go see theater, and especially if you're going to be heavy fringing and watching shows back to back, people are going to get hungry. People need to eat. So I looked for restaurants or bars or whatever, and then I pitched to a couple of them like, hey, so there's this ad in the back of this guidebook, and this is the number. I did what I did like when I used to work for Budweiser, or when different magazines would pitch to Budweiser to get us to buy an ad. So I did the same to these restaurants. So I said, hey, there's this ad in the back of the guide. This guide is going to be seen by this many people. This is the demographic. I just kind of did some like estimates. And then I would send it to them, and I said, normally this ad is like 1,000 or 1,200, I can't remember. But for you, it's $500 or $600 or something like that. So that's actually how I got, I think it was Burger M, the one that I got.
Well done.
Yeah, to pay for half of the ad.
That's great.
And some folks are like, oh my gosh, the back of the book, that's like my rent. Like, yeah. But if you strategize and you leverage, always think leverage whatever resources, whatever creativity you have in yourself, and you believe me, you have some. If you're here, you have a lot of creativity. Leverage that, and then figure out like how can I make this happen given the resources and whatever pitch that I can put to businesses that are out there. And I said to these businesses, I said, hey, like if you offer a discount to Fringe folks, then it's $500. If not, then it's $675. I just picked a number. And so I also had I also have a budget template. I come from Chicago, heavy theater town.
Miklas.
And so I did theater out there. My cousin's a director, and we always had a template for making sure that we're keeping track of everything. Budget. I also did what Tom did. I'm happy to see other folks doing this, because a lot of people forget that, hey, this is tax. Yes, this is a business. This is tax deductible.
Yeah, write that off.
definitely write that off. If you do your hair, write that off. You do your nails, write that off. You know, and wardrobe, all of that, keep the receipts, write that off. The meals that you eat, write that off. It's extremely important because otherwise, like, you're just,
Yeah,
withering
and it
away.
depends, like, to, like, what you're making, and, like, it depends, you should
Yeah.
consult a tax professional.
Yeah,
Yes,
of course.
Definitely,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
just
yeah,
to be
yeah.
honest, like, if
You're
that's
the tax
something, you
person,
should
right.
definitely talk to an expert about
Yeah.
that.
Right.
But
whatever
also,
you do.
you were always online, you were on all the Twitter chats, and,
Yeah, I
so I think that was also a great thing. So you can do it from out of towners, you can do it.
You can do it.
So when it comes to fundraising techniques for you guys, do you guys have any that are your favorites? Participants do everything like throwing parties to like doing crowdfunding. What is one strategy that you do every year?
I call my
Or
brother.
not every year, or one
I
of your
called my
favorite.
brother and I said, I want to do this show. And he's like, what's this one about? And then he writes me a check. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm lucky. My brother works backstage on Broadway and does costumes. So he loves theater and he loves that we're doing it. So
Yeah.
you guys are on your own. I'm lucky that way.
It's a small enough investment that you might be able to convince someone to lend you the money and then you return that with a small, you know, whatever, extra.
Just so
Or
close.
that people don't care and you can just return the money. That is something,
Yeah.
one way to do it. Microloans?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't fundraise every year because a lot of my stuff is out of savings, my own savings,
Mhm.
and then we try to break even to wash it out.
Yeah.
I will say, as someone who, for their actual living, produces fundraising events, don't do a fundraising event. Because the
Sound
thing
advice,
is, like,
huh?
big organizations make money doing galas and fundraisers because of their network. And so if you don't have, and because their board members have networks, so if you ever try to get roped into a fundraising event that doesn't have board support at a nonprofit, you say no. Do it. So, like, for an individual producer, it's extremely hard to actually make money throwing yourself a fundraising party or something. I mean, it can be done, but it's hard.
Yeah.
So I would suggest if you do need to raise some cash that you can't like go to a trusted friend, relative, your own bank account, I would consider crowdfunding. It is not that scary. You should know that a budget of, like, if, you know, a $5,000 budget, that's a pretty like average Fringe budget. I would say, in my experience, maybe a little on the high side. I've done shows for like 3 or so before, and you can do it a little bit less than that if you're really bare bones. $5,000 is a lot for a crowdfunding campaign. That's a lot of money. $1,500, that's probably doable. So think about your network. Think about who else is involved in your project. How can you use them as part of it? And my big piece of advice with crowdfunding campaigns is they need to be as carefully produced and thought through as your show. In that you should have a calendar with what you're going to do every day of that campaign, where you're going to be posting on social media, who you're going to be emailing, because it's going to be people you know. It's not going to be people who stumble upon you. You may be nodding from experience.
Yeah.
It's not going to be people who stumble upon you on Kickstarter and you go and think you're cool.
That's nice.
You are cool, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think that crowdfunding can be something that's so, you know, time consuming that it might not be worth it as well. I feel like there's kind of a limitation on how many times you can pull that off. So if this is your baby that you really want to get made and you've already talked to it about people that you know are interested in it, then yeah, maybe do that. Not just like, well, I'll just do this casually as something to help, you know. Same thing with fundraisers. You can't just do them casually, but we have had really successful ones where it's like $10 at the door, come in, there's a band, there's a keg, whatever, you know, like making it an experience that also serves as marketing and hyping your community up about the show. But again, that's pulling from your own network if you have that, and also the resources. I think in budgeting, looking at, okay, you're definitely going to have to pay your registration, you're going to have to pay your venue. you're going to have to pay some of the talent that is working with you as designers, directors, whatever. But then where in your budget are the favors that you've been waiting to cash in? And some of those can be involved in fundraising as well. You know, if you've got some skill or something that you can sell to supplement, or what I've been doing a lot lately has been 5% of every paycheck goes to this savings account, 5 goes to this. This is going to help finish my album. This is going to help put up my show. You know, like whenever, even if just like a small percentage that then pays off. Because when we were going to New York, it's intimidating to not be working for 2 weeks and to have to pay to live in New York. But everyone was able to do it by planning ahead and putting a little aside every which way.
And then with you guys, how much do you usually charge per ticket? Do you charge $0? Do you charge everybody the same? Do you use pay what you can? Do you use comps? Do you use codes on the Fringe website? What's your favorite little range? It doesn't have to be like definite, but just a range.
I think in the beginning, especially for the first couple of shows, I think, what did I charge? 10, 12? Something like that, I think. I was really surprised to see some Fringe shows charging 25.
That's a lot.
It's always a shocker.
To be fair, we charged $25 last year, which is a lot.
But
you're one
But it was
person.
a
One person.
70-minute one-on-one.
Yeah.
You own the
I mean,
theater, you own the chair.
Yeah, I would pay 25 for that.
Yeah.
But like, so, but I think it was like 10, 12, because I just wanted to get butts and seats, and that's what, at Studio Stage, that's what the mantra that just kept like repeating over and over, like butts and seats, because those folks are going to, they're going to review you. They're going to post a review, and then more people will come for the next show and the show after that, and then you're able to kind of breathe a little bit with the marketing, and able to go to see other people's shows. So
Ben Hill's my hero. Ben Hill taught me the 40%. Ben Hill taught me buy the impressions, because people will come in not seeing your show and go, I heard you have a great show. Nobody's seen it. They saw the impressions. So when Ben Hill talks, I listen. I'm like a used car salesman when it comes to my tickets. And I will hashtag any group a discount that wants to come see the show, because the real important thing when you plan all of this is, why are you doing this? One, we are doing this because the real payoff is you get to do a show. If you're doing it to make money, you might be in the wrong place. But butts and seats has been my mantra since day one, because I want that exposure. So my theater companies are hashtag whatever their name is, and they get a $5 ticket. The other other friends are hashtag whatever, and they get a $10 ticket. My ticket price is always $15, because that's always kind of been the average in Fringe. But here's the secret, and I would turn the camera off, but we like those people. You're sitting right now amongst your greatest ticket buyers. The festival itself, and I didn't realize how powerful the festival was until I got a 12-week run in the Valley at the Whitefire with no festival, where we're like, please come see the show, please come see the show.
Yeah.
Then it really is begging for rent money. This, here's my numbers on this. So there's 400 shows approximately. Every show has at least 3 to 4 people, but let's just say it's 3 people connected, right? So now that's 12, how many? 100 possible ticket buyers just that signed up to want to do a show and be involved. The first year I gave all the Fringers free tickets. A lot of people showed up. There was hashtag HFF18 and you got a free ticket. The next year I learned if you charge them $5, you get more people. I don't know why, it didn't make sense to me.
It's a value. You don't want to devalue your show by giving away every ticket. I do think everyone should hide a couple tickets for every performance as well, because you don't know if you're going to get some momentum and those tickets are for sale and then you're selling out. The Darren Cole's coming from Soho Playhouse, just, see if your show, like we had no tickets left for that show. And thankfully I'd hid a couple tickets from the website so that you can get the press people in when they are just like, oh, I heard a little buzz and it's 1 hour from showtime, can I get in? Like, of course. I've already,
And it happens. I had that same guy.
yeah,
He ran up to the door and says, "Can I get in?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, take my seat."
yeah.
And there was other people that came in that wanted to see
Yeah.
the show because the buzz got out.
Yeah.
But let me give you a quick little marketing technique right now that you can use for your next meeting. Who didn't write their show name on their name tag? I love your name, but I want to know your show name. These are the little things you got to think about, because these are the people that are going to come see your show definitely. I mean, not 100% definitely, but for the majority, you know,
And you can
think
come
about
and
it.
meet all of them at office hours starting March 28th.
Yeah.
They're really fun.
They're really fun.
I have one
Yeah.
other discounting
Yeah.
thought to add to that about ticket price. Discounting strategies work really well at Fringe. If you've produced stuff outside, they work outside too. They work really well at Fringe. So I think a lot about average sales price, or ASP, for my tickets, and what
The acronym panel, I love it.
So I think like what ASP is going to help me get to my target for in my budget. So because the budget is not just expenses, it's income as well.
Right.
So you can get there by selling 40 $10 tickets or 20 $20 tickets, right? And so thinking about the mix of discounted versus full price tickets to get to a specific average, that's really helpful. So I'm not recommending this per se, but as an example, you could set your full price ticket at 15 and then everybody from Fringe gets $5 off. And then that feels like, oh, I'm getting something, I'm special.
Sure.
I usually do it with smaller margins, like
Great.
for like the comedy show I used to work on, it's like a $12 ticket and then $10 for Fringers, usually like $10 tickets with a discount. 12 is about Fringe average for a ticket price.
And you also want to offer there. So there's also Fringe volunteers.
Yeah.
For the Fringe volunteers, I'm like, if they're volunteering for free, like you're gonna get in my show for free. Like so, I think Stina Peterson sends out an email saying, hey, if you want to offer a discount or comps for volunteers, do that because they will definitely come. And there's no better way to kind of repay them for what all the hard work they're doing than giving them a comp. Also, with discount codes, to find out if your ad is working wherever you do it, whether it be Facebook ads or on the Fringe site or whatever, have separate discount codes for each one so you know which one is more effective. And let's say, for instance, if my Facebook ad is performing better than the Fringe website Fringe ad, then I'm going to put more money there or more time and energy there. If Twitter is working better than whatever, then you know that's working too. Also with let's say fundraising, you can also look to different organizations that are out there that are providing grants for you to produce your show, especially if your show is around a theme that is affecting like the masses. You know, like say for instance, sexual harassment, or let's say like with mine, you know, Mexican Catholic mom and Muslim Pakistani dad. You know, like then it's unity. There was a lot of organizations that were able to give money. Are we doing?
We'll do questions at the end.
Yeah.
But-
Okay. So.
But
yeah.
do you want to? Is it like small? Or
It's just literally, yes.
go ahead. Do it.
How do I find these grants? You mean?
Google.
Yeah.
And
There's
speaking of,
website stuff
sorry,
about
yeah,
it.
speaking
Yeah.
of Google, and just this is I come from the techie world also. Sign up to be a Google test user. You get paid $100 each time you test. So I did that a lot and raised up a good chunk of money. The Hollywood Fringe Scholarship also helped a ton too. So, but yeah, you can go to usertesting.com and sign up to be a user tester for mobile apps. It's extra money that you can do from home. You know.
Which brings into a good point of marketing, which also, yes, Sofie was one of our 2017 scholarship winners last year. And we also just announced a little bit ago our 2018 scholarship winners, and I see a few are here. Yeah.
Yay.
Great, yay. So what makes a show stand out to you? When you're like, see the sea of shows and people are like what makes it stand out to you? Like one specific one. Especially like when you're talking to like an elevator pitch, like if you're at office hours and there's like, you talk to 50 different people who are doing 50 different shows, which one stands in your mind? And it depends on the person, obviously.
I feel like the producers that connect with me as a person, and not like, hey, here's my show, here, come to it, da 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 da. You know, like I feel like those are the ones that I go to, and that's the same thing with the Facebook group that we have. If you're constantly posting the graphic for your show, and come now, like, you know, all that, okay. But if you connect with your story and say, hey, you know, sometimes I would post, I would post, I think it was one time that my mom was on her cell phone and my dad was on his cell phone, and it was like Spanish and Urdu going on at the same time. And so I recorded that, and then I posted that. I'm like, yo, this is my life. You know, and like, by the way, like, hope to see you at the next show, da 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 da. And that's it. I didn't include the graphic each and every time. And I feel like people can connect with your story more than just your graphic, you know, and whether it be online or face to face.
I think if you really invest in your log line and putting your information together before the program deadline of like April 15th or whatever, that's a great way to do it, because people will come and just see shows all day, and you know, you got your 7 impressions if you've heard about a show in good light enough. Then if that happens to be playing on that random afternoon when you're trying to fit in more shows, then I will always go to that just to see what the buzz is about. But beyond that, if you've really, you know, captured something eloquently, sometimes I see people's things are like, we made a shows this time. And I'm like, what a sad waste of print, because I have no interest in that. And I'm here to see the experimental, the, you know, cutting edge, like the absurdist, you know, like there's a lot of stuff that I love. So if you've captured that in your 240 characters or whatever, then that's how people are going to come in on the random off hours to the show. And that's probably what I do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
Okay. I gravitate, I'm kind of over mystery in words. I kind of want to know what something's, I want a clear image in my head of how my experience will be. Not necessarily what the plot is, point by point, like not like an opera, they're always doing synopses that are like, and then this happens, and this, and then this.
Yeah.
Which is not what you need, but there is sort of a balance to strike, I think, between something that is intriguing and alluring, but also that lets me know, like, what kind of time am I going to have? Am I really going to laugh? Is it going to be one of those things where I sit back like this and laugh? Is it going to be a thing where I cry? That kind of level of detail really helps me figure out, sort of when I have an afternoon free at Fringe, like, what am I in the mood for? Yeah, I heard that thing sounds like it's going to be just
I heard
right.
is important.
Yeah.
I heard is important.
And then, being able to articulate clearly and concisely what your show is about to other people, there's nothing better that you can do for your show than practicing that little elevator pitch, that 2-sentence, this is what it's about. Cool, what's your show? So that you can finish and then ask somebody what their show's about.
Yes.
That back and forth is huge.
That's I'm about the person. Like, I still go to when I have a show that I'm producing and running, I go to all of these workshops, including the venues and there's at least 4 to 5 venue people that have produced me outside of Fringe. And they're even like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm here to meet the class of 2017. I'm here to meet the class of 2018. We're the graduating class. I'll go to, that's how I look at it. And then we go to office hours and I'm like, tell me about your show and I'll tell you about mine. And if I get somebody who's vibrant and fun, and I love that, but I'll tell you what, if you don't have a postcard, I'm going to forget. And I always got a postcard. There's always a postcard in my bag because I'm, again, ABF. But these are whoops. I'm sorry, honey. But
yeah, the give and take of it.
The give and take of it and the discussion, like, and I'm trying to think, who had something that knocked me out. I think the first year the girl did and I don't remember her name, I'm sorry, but she did a show about being a bartender, and her show was on a bottle opener. I never forgot her. I made sure I went to see that. Other people are just great. Hey, how you doing? Great, congratulations. You know, it's hard to get me to, now that it's a few years later, I realize, like, I've had lunch, and this is good as you get older with this, because I had lunch on about 4 people this month who wanted to consult with me about how to do their Fringe show. But see, what I realized today coming here, I'm like, well, I have to go see those 4 shows, and I have to go see all my theater company friends, and that's another 12 shows. And now I got to strategize. So yeah, the people that stand out for me, the people that are like, no, if I ask you, like, what's your show about, and you're really nice and you talk to me, and it's not a click, I'm going to be responding to that, and that's what I usually respond best to. But also to get them, man. Get them. Don't do them this big. Don't do them this big. Make sure you have the Fringe site.
Yeah, talking about that, do you guys do like a bigger? How many do you print? What do you think?
We do the big because our artwork looks like it's a comic book, so it should kind of equate to that. But I loved when Greg did the trading cards for his little superhero sidekick, and that was so clever. But then I've seen trading cards too that it's like, I don't know what this is for. You've marketed it in a cool way, but you didn't lead to what the show is in it.
Yeah.
But gotprint.net.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, Gotprint is a new.
Yeah.
Like probably 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah, and then you can get it delivered to your house, or you can pick it up
Go
for
pick
free.
it up in
Yeah, the
Burbank. Free.
Bingo, me too.
Bingo, bingo. And they got discount codes sometimes.
Yeah, discount codes,
Yeah.
right, that's Gotprint.
When I'm receiving a postcard, I like to be able to put it in my back pocket.
That's what I like, right.
But in different shapes can do that, like a standard 4x6. We did circles one year, and that was actually really fun. And it was for Himmelmobile, which had 8 different vignettes that made up the whole piece, and you got them hole punched around the edge.
Oh, that's cool.
Cute.
Cute.
Some people do coasters. That's always cute.
Matches.
Bookmarks, matches.
Matchbooks.
Something that you can give people and they can put in a pocket.
Or they could be like, I'm going to not fold this,
I'm
and I'm
gonna-
going to put this
This is
in my
beautiful, and
binder
I'm going to put it on my fridge.
art.
I was in San Francisco when I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna see what Virgin America flight is to head down to a happy hour. And I think I found one where it was like $99, like, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go. And I mean, of course, being in San Francisco, I was like, well, how am I gonna put an order to Gotprint and then have it shipped to San Francisco and then go with all my flyers on
Yeah.
the suitcase. So what I did was I went to the 99-cent store. I talked with the manager. I'm like, yo, I see these chip clips. Can I
So good.
can I get these chip clips like at a discount so that at wholesale even more cheaper? And again, this is coming from my user experience background. I was like, okay, all these folks are going to go to office hours. Everyone's going to have flyers. Everyone's going to need something to hold the flyers together. And I'm kind of like a neat freak, so I like things organized. And so I was like, okay, chip clips. So what I did was I got the chip clips. I got these tags from like Michael's, and I figured, I was like, okay, I'm going to have at least 10 meaningful conversations, but I'm going to at least handwrite 20 tags so I can give 20 chip clips away. And on the tag, at first, no, did I handwrite it? No, I made little stickers. Never mind. I think I handwrote one time, but I made stickers and I put them on there. And people would be holding their flyers, and they're like, hey, what's your show about? I'm like, this is my show. So I would just click there. This is my show. And they're like, whoa, oh, yay, thank you.
I remember that.
Yeah, like all down your jacket too. They were like all clipped all over your body.
Yeah, because I was just like, my hands, I grew up playing the flute, so my hands are very wonky. So I can't grip a whole bunch of flyers or whatever, so I would just clip all the clips on my jacket and I'm like,
And it's
here you
just
go.
what to stand out. It sounds like, you know,
Yeah.
running around in your costume at Fringe Central.
All the time.
Or,
Always.
you know.
There's short shorts.
Oh,
there's short shorts.
Yeah.
Silver short shorts for even for the guys.
Oh yeah.
That was their team.
Yeah, Alibaba Express. You can buy a lot of stuff wholesale from
Yeah,
there
yeah.
and get really creative.
I'll give you a quick one that I learned the first year. So when we did the Fringe survival kits, the bag was the perfect, it was a small like white gift bag and it cost 15 cents a bag. And on each bag I slapped on a sticker of the show, and on the other side I slapped on the schedule with, the most important thing you gotta remember, you'll get it when you get on your site, get that, the little,
HFF18.org/4532.
it's basically your address, and it'll be on, get that on as much things as you can. So I slapped that on there, and it turned out that the bag was the perfect size to hold people's postcards. And in 2014, they happened to have a silent auction that they did, and that was the first night you could like start handing out cards. And people were like, "Oh, these are great! I can keep my postcards in there." And I'm like, "Yeah."
I definitely did that. Mhm.
See? And then, yeah, that's one way to think about
I
it.
remember
But
eating that candy.
candy, yeah, people still like, you know, the candy saved my life that night. I'm like, so, but Fringe Central that's your other target area. If you don't know what it is, I think you do by now. But if I have extra seats and I want butts in the seats, I print out a special free ticket, and I'll go to Fringe Central and go, "Hey, do you have a show at 2:00?" And most people be like, "Yeah, no, thanks anyway." And I get at least 2 to 4 people at a show that'll take the free ticket. And the one year, the first year especially, this girl said, "I wasn't expecting to go to this. It was great," and she gave me this great review, and it just was because I'm like, "Here, please come to the show."
And that's a great transition, because I just want to ask one more question and then we'll open it up to Q&A. But do you guys work with press? Do you use a publicist? How do you do that? Or do you rely on Hollywood Fringe reviews and things like that that are more peer monitored?
We don't work with a publicist for Fringe. You know, I've really seen happen in the 8 years of Fringe is that as the festival has grown, the reviews have shrunk. And of course, also happening at the same time has been the loss of a lot of traditional reviewing outlets. So we've picked some up, we've lost them. So there are very intrepid theater journalists trying to cover way more than they can possibly see. So the typical review for a Fringe show is a capsule review as opposed to a full review. So think about whether that's worth it to you. I think people who are looking to get plays published tend to have more of a need for press and might have a different strategy than we have. I mean, we've had good luck in the last couple of years because immersive stuff has its own world of press. So think about what your show is and try to look back at what has happened with past shows in a similar style or aesthetic and see what you can reasonably expect and then decide, okay, how much should I invest in this, both in time and money?
Yeah, I think they'll go over this at the expectations panel, but you know, figuring out what your personal goal for the Fringe is really important because that will lead to your style and your investment in that. I've always done all of our press, and I know it's a lot of work. So if you are not like familiar with that, then it might be good to reach an outside source. I think always getting started, today, if your show is finished in its form, you can start to write your press release and you can start to research outlets to send it to.
Right.
It's never too early, and then you're going to want to do it at least 6 weeks out, and then you're going to want to touch base again closer to, hey, can I set you up with some free tickets? I think it's very challenging because the limited amount of outlets, but I think that thinking outside the box too, if your show has a mission, if there's particular people writing about that you can spend hours going down the rabbit hole finding people that are really excited about that kind of work. And I think your show deserves that if you're going to be putting it up. Like, there's people that are interested in your freaky stuff too, so find them.
So last year, because I just had a feeling this was going to be the show. I really did. When I saw it in its 10-minute monologue, and then when we started to move the show, I knew this was the first time ever I was going to get a shot, and it did. It won Best Solo Performance last year, right? Under the Jello mold, Jenny did it. Thank you. So, but I knew it, I could feel it, so it was the first year I hired a publicist. Very nice person, not worth it. Got me on maybe 1 or 2 websites that I could have got myself on had I known they existed. In the past, and because I was lucky when I got out and when I lived in New York and I was trying to be an actor writer, I would sometimes work for agencies and managers, and I learned how to write a press release. So all the other fringes, I did it myself. And it's so doable. And the really, don't listen to anyone who says don't pay for a review. You have to. And you're not paying for the review per se, you're paying for the Google hit. You want them to Google the title of your show and say, oh wow, it's here at NoHo Arts. Oh, it's here in Toluca Lake Times. The other thing to do also, look for the great opportunities for your dollars. Last year, Footlights, which is the Playbill of LA, had this great deal that really not too many people knew about. If you got your Playbill through them, not only did you get in every Fringers Playbill, your art got on their website, and it got in their email blast. And it was a little pricier than the others, but the options were so great, that it was the best investment I did last year. In the past, there's been really great stuff. Like, you got to look like, oh yeah, so you pay for the review, and you're going to get the online review, and you're going to get the paper review, and you're going to get a plug on their Fringe page. Yeah, that's a go. I'm going to go with that. That's what you look for, because I learned also in the last year and a half, electronica is so much more powerful than print now. Where when I started, I think in 2014, it really was about the postcards, and I paid a guy to go put the postcards in places. But I will say this: make sure you have at least 10 posters. Fringe Central lets you hang a poster. You're going to give your poster to concierge. You're going to be part of the group. You don't want to be left out. It's not a question of, oh, you're going to sell 100 more tickets, but I want to feel part of Fringe Central. Make sure you have at least 10 or 12 posters. You're going to hand one in to the concierge. But electronica, look for those deals, look for how to do it. But yeah, in my personal opinion, it wasn't worth the...
And news hijacking too. So news hijacking is like, say for instance, well for me is more relevant because of Trump and the terrorists and the Muslim ban and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, cool, Trump was like the best thing for my show because every time he would tweet or let's say the news would be out there like talking about the travel ban or whatever, I wrote on those hashtags, and so basically, yeah, you got to, right?
Yeah.
So like say, what was it? I think there was one like Muslim rage, and I'm just like, I think I wore like a hijab, and then I put I wrote in Twitter like, I'm having a good hair day, but you can't tell. Hashtag Muslim rage. You know, like so I just wrote.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah, so
Hair day.
I would just take some of those hashtags that would come out, like either from, from the news or stuff that Trump would say, and I would just flip it and just make it work for my promotion. And
let me give you something else that people give away and don't realize it's valuable. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, go.
Your curtain speech. Before your show starts, I know everybody likes to say, oh, I don't want to stand out there and be automated. Again, Penn Hill. Make it feel like it's a party. Make it feel like it's part of the festival. I stand on that corner and I say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the complex. Tonight is our 5th show of Under the Jello Mold. We have 3 more coming up. Please tell your friends. Are there any Fringe shows in the house? People go crazy. Shout out your Fringe show. Make the party start when they walk in the door. You want to stand out. But also, that's a great marketing op that I'm like, hey, I got 3 more shows and I got 180 tickets. Sell them. And people will. They'll tell their friends. You got to see this one.
Yeah, we got some great advice today. Remember that all rules are meant to be broken. So if anything didn't vibe with you here, or if there was anything that you're like, I don't think that go with your gut,
Yeah.
but also know that tons of different techniques work. It just matters what matters to you.
Yeah.
So with that being said, does anybody not have a venue yet? Anybody in here? There's a couple of venues here. I want them to shout out where they're at, if they have space, and say hi.
Sure. I'm Amber from the Lounge Theater. We have a little bit of space left. I think we're doing discounts for some of the few slots we have left. We already have about 30 shows booked in. Come check us out. We do happy hours on Friday from 3 to 8. 2 for $5 beer and wine.
Hi, I'm Jen Crafts. I run Studio Stage. And also the Hobgoblin Playhouse, which is going to be up on Hollywood Boulevard this year. Studio Stage is sold out completely, which is amazing. But then we do still have a couple spots left open at the Hobgoblin. It's a 102-year-old space. Wow. It's amazing. It's on the Walk of Fame, and there's the most beautiful lobby I've ever seen in there, and plus 3 levels of playing space. So there's a loft, a stage, and the floor. So it's going to be awesome. There is, if you look on our website, which is stagecraftsllc.com, there is a video tour that you can take of the Hobgoblin, and then you can talk to me, and we'll do a real tour. But take a look at the video tour; it's pretty cool. Or come talk to me again.
Are we doing venue stuff?
Yeah. Just like a burger
Venue
request.
time.
That was actually in the valley, but he just.
I would like to say hey everyone, my name is Matthew Quinn. I run the Asylum. We do have space available, a little bit left in Stephanie Fury, McCadden, and the second stage. Also a new space, a non-traditional space, Steinley Arts, over on Santa Monica and Western. I'm going to be doing tours all next week, so if you are looking for space, let me know. I also have a workshop coming up on the 17th, how to produce a Fringe show. And we also offer PR and marketing. So come grab a card. I'll be hanging out afterwards, right outside. Welcome to the Fringe, guys. All first-timers. Yeah! And Ms. Monica Martin.
Hi, it's me again. As far as availability, I still have availability in the Ruby Theater. I have another proscenium space much like this one that I still have space available. And also upstairs in our Flight Theater, which is more of a black box situation, a little wider stage. So we'll be around after. So nice to see you all here. Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that everybody has burning questions, because I know I do. If we don't get to you today, come with the mixer and we'll try and do it, but we're gonna go ahead. Yeah.
So I want to say my name because I did not get a
Oh, yeah.
little name tag, and my
Name
show
and
is
show.
Sex Rated G, a one-woman show with a man in it.
Woo!
I actually did the Edinburgh Fringe, but I'm going backwards, so yeah, this is like I'm a newbie here. So my question is, because I have checked out, I kind of got on the ball and went to a bunch of different theaters, but I can't decide which one. So I'd love to hear opinions on like, being on the main thing or being kind of tucked away or that kind of question.
All of the Fringe venues are lovely.
Yes, definitely. I agree. There wasn't a show where I was like, "Ugh, I don't like this too." No, all the venues are awesome. Think about your budget, because there were some. I was a one-woman show, right? Studio Stage, awesome. It was a great big space.
Yes.
I loved it. It worked for me. Like, and I had to hustle to make sure I had butts and seats. But I also talked to some other folks that did one-woman shows, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, I couldn't because I don't want to get so stressed about all the butts and seats. I had to spend more time developing my show." So that was their scenario. For me, I had already done my one-woman show earlier as part of the Solo Fest at White Fighter. Solo Fest as part of White Fire. I was gonna say White Fighter. White Fire Theater. Oh my gosh! Sorry guys, I need to eat. And so it's think of do I have the budget and the marketing tools and the network and whatnot to fill up this whole house? you know, but then again, Tom did a great job with marketing, and his Jenny's show was here.
We picked here though because Jenny
this
knew,
stage.
but Jenny knew her ticket buying audience from her past experience were elderly Jewish women. They weren't going to be able to climb upstairs. I wanted to do it in the flight upstairs. And she goes, my crowd won't make it. And she wasn't joking because we had a guy who was like sitting right here start choking one night. And Jenny's like, I got water. Do you need it? Like in the middle of the show. Like, and we had, that's the other thing. It's the Murphy law. Anything will happen. Anything will happen. But yeah, know your audience. That's my thing because that's why we picked this space was she knew they couldn't climb the steps.
I think vibe counts too because you're setting the stage with the venue as well. So if it fits in the world of your show, then you have less props and sets and other things that you have to consider.
One of our venues, I think, has
Yeah,
a comment about
can
it.
I just tag off of that?
Yeah.
It also depends what theater fits your show.
That's a big
You
one.
know,
Yeah.
it is a vibe thing. It is what's gonna fit your show best. I had someone who booked with us. She went into Lounge 1 and she's like, I don't know what it is. I hate this theater. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's check out the other one. And she was like, it was nothing about how it's laid. It was nothing about that. It just, and she walked into the other one. She was like, oh my god, I love this. This is it. And it's a vibe thing. It really is. You know, and that's why you have to go tour them.
And we have tours. We have a landing page now for tours for venues. HollywoodFringe.org/tours. I'm pretty sure. And so you can, and they're in our e-blasts. So if you are looking to go see a space, tons of places are opening up at certain times during the week.
One other thing to ask venues is what they do to foster a sense of community within the venue, especially ones that are not on Santa Monica Boulevard. Talk to them about what they've got, because surely they have plans, because that can really help your show too if there's a supportive community at the venue of other productions that are there too.
Yeah.
So ask like what kind of other stuff is booked there. Are there any other folks who have shows that might be kind of similar or complementary to yours that are around that can.
The website has every show that's ever happened here in the festival since it began. So if you know like-minded things, you can search by tags and find shows. You can see who's written about those shows, so you can put them on your target press list. You know, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
And we have a whole panel like this about venues, which was our first panel, and that's on our Fringe TV. So you can always go back to that.
Hi, my name is Bayla, and our show is at Tea Time. I'm a producer. My question was, we picked the Actors Company because we think that, we're happy about the parking situation, and also because the people that we think that are going to be coming will be happier at a closer, location. And my question was, you were talking about people saying, oh, I have, this hour free for a show. Are they going to schlep over to Formosa?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uber
Yeah.
and Lyft.
I even moved my car for that.
You did a
For
great
sure.
job.
Again, studio stage, Western and
Western Melrose.
Melrose. Right, I was like, and I was in San Francisco. I didn't even see the venue before I booked it. Like, Jen and Greg were super awesome. I didn't ask the question about, do you foster a sense of community? I saw it because they were engaged in those Twitter chats online, and yes, people will come.
Yeah.
Because we're not on the strip, so
Yeah.
I was a little concerned about that. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And
The
then we
other thing too is definitely ask your venue about that if they do have any plans for that. At Studio Stage and at the Hobgoblin, we have a lifted Uber code that gives everyone a
Yeah, that's
discount who
smart.
are going to those venues. So anyone who's in each of those venues can put that code on their postcard. And I know everyone did last year, and everyone
That's
benefited from it, so that was great.
Yeah. It's actually, people are now more likely, I think, to go
Oh yeah.
to
Outside.
all the venues than they were like
Because of the
4
ride
or 5
shares.
years ago.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Sure, in the back.
Yes, my name's Chris Collins, and my play is Fucho with Bourbon. A girl comes home seeking revenge, and I'm at the lounge with Amber. And, I have a question. We're looking for either a costume person or maybe a stage manager that knows about the Fringe. Where is a good place to look for those, other than these kind of events? What has helped you?
I'd say on the website, no?
I'd ask
Facebook,
Amber,
Facebook group, the Fringe Facebook.
but I would ask Amber.
I'd also say LA Culture Net. It's a Yahoo listserv that goes out to people in arts in LA.
Say that again?
LA Culture Net. it's a Yahoo listserv, so everyone gets emails that signed up for this listserv that's like, hey, we're hiring designers for this thing. It's all job leads, it's not any marketing, and it's a cool community.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
My apologies. The Facebook groups, there's Technical Theater Artists LA. Anyone can join, anyone can post. And there are a lot of, actually Corwin Evans, I think, is the moderator on it, and he's
That's a brilliant man.
You know, the Fringe.
Don't miss that. That's the one everybody misses, and I never know why.
Yeah,
When it gets to
good.
Corwin, it's usually Corwin and Brandon. They're two of LA's best designers and stage guys, and they give this amazing speech presentation with visuals. And because it's, I think it's at the end and it's tech, people are like, "Oh, I'll blow that one off."
No.
Don't miss that one. They're brilliant.
And then Los Angeles Stage Managers is also a Facebook group. You can post on there. If we need last minute tech for our venue specifically, we always are posting on there. And you can get someone day of even for last minute things if God forbid something happens. So.
But real quick on the technical and that stuff, I said ask Amber because you said you're with Amber. Your venue people work all year in theater. They know people that know these spaces. Go to your venue people first. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. They'll be like, oh yeah, so-and-so's available and he worked here for 12 months. Oh yeah, I want him. Because he'll know the ins and outs.
Okay, me? Yeah. Okay. Hi, my name is Sarah Rose Reynolds. My show is called Squirrel. It's a one-woman comedic struggle to find yourself through ADHD, sex, psychics, and wait, what's that? Anyway, it's up in the lounge. We're very excited about it. My question is, and I'm a little embarrassed about it, but what if I just want to hire someone to do all this for me? Like Sofie, can I hire you?
Sure. Go Soph.
I don't want to. I'm bad with money. I'm not good at making decisions. I don't want to do all this. I just want to do my show. So, are there people who offer their services and I can just pay them money and they do it for me?
Yeah.
Just ask. If I don't know somebody, they know somebody.
That's just the producer.
Yeah. Thank you. Great. Okay.
Let's talk.
My name is Marcos Cohen. I am the playwright of the Miklas show, also, you know, at tea time. And I want to thank you so much for your valuable input. Amazing. It's our debut at the Fringe. So thank you so much.
Sofie.
Sofie, you say something about the back of the magazine. So I'm the one who's putting the money right now, and it will be very important for me. I took a look at the print of the guide, and I couldn't find any sponsor for any show. I don't know how you got to put the name of that restaurant. Is it possible to do that, offer that sponsor in the magazine, because I couldn't find any other sponsor in the ads?
I myself created the graphic that included so I bought the full page on the back of the guide, and it's done through an auction bid. I don't know when the auction bid is.
I don't know exactly, soon.
So the back of the page, and I think the front inside and the back inside, those 3 full page ads, you can't just purchase them like that. They go up on an auction. You have to bid for it. What was funny is that I was in a bid actually against
her venue. And we thought it was 3 clubs, and we were like, damn, 3 clubs. And then we found out that it was going to be so bad.
And what's funny is that I was just like, when I can't remember the name of the website where Fringe hosted the auction, but I chose a drag queen name that's in my show, and I can't remember the name of the drag queen, but
That's great.
So they didn't know me by the drag queen name, so I was just like, man, we could have like collaborated on that a little bit better, but so it's not a separate slot for the sponsor, for my sponsor. I just bid and won the full page ad for the back, and then I created the graphic that included my flyer, and then, well, I mean, like I said, I'm graphic design, UX design. So what I did was I put a black bar at the very bottom, and I put their ad there.
And also, when it comes to like asking about ads or anything that's Fringe related, that's what the town halls are really for. Ben Hill's about to do an hour and a half of just spewing this information out, from our side of it. And if you wanted to find out that information now, just look at last year's town hall from the same time. It's on Fringe TV. So go to our website. You can find it's town hall. I think it's always #2, marketing, and he'll talk all about ads, all about this. And that way you can get that information from our side of it.
I'm Sam Shaber. My show's a musical storytelling, multimedia musical storytelling show called Sam Shaber, Life, Death, and Duran Duran. Very topical. And I'm doing it right here on this stage, so I'm very excited about that. And so I come at this as a musician, longtime musician, and a storyteller. I do a lot of the moth things and things like that. My question is, are there any, I know there's a cabaret during the Fringe, but is there any opportunity to maybe produce like a Fringe preview cabaret to invite other artists to come and tell a story, do a piece, da-da-da-da-da-da? Would that be an idea? Has anything like that ever been done before?
Go ahead.
Yes, there was a thing done years ago called Artie Party.
Oh,
I don't know
way
if anyone
back.
remembers. Monica does. It
I
was
wasn't
awesome,
there.
and it was put on. I forget who did it. It was
Mead Theater.
It was Mead Theater. Put it on. Basically, it was just like, I think I was at the asylum at that point, so I think it was just like a time during the, like a random time, I think it was like noon on a Saturday or something, that it was like, there was a space open, and Matt let them have it. And so then it was just, they put it out to the French community, just come in and like, do a little snippet of your show, and it was awesome. So you might want to check with your venue about that, or email support and see how much that would cost you. But it's pretty cool.
And there's tons of resources like that through, like, again, Facebook groups, all of these things. Everybody's totally posting things like that.
But Bella Luna will
be hosting cabaret this year, and we might extend. You know, we're just not.
We have a musical number in Under the Jello Mold, and she performed 2 times with a bunch of other Fringers at Fringe Central. Matt does a thing called Pick of the Fringe, and if you're chosen, you end up doing a preview down, depending on one of his spaces. But that was another great experience where people were like, wow, I want to come see this show now.
Yeah, as far as ahead of the Fringe, you'd have to participate in the preview week. And that's a good time to come scope out a bunch of things, but you'd probably have to self-produce or get some people together to
And
make
so as
that
far as
happen.
like the happy hour is structured, there's not a way to fit that in.
No.
Because happy hour is
it's
like
just-
chatting.
It's social time.
It's social time.
Oh, but you can also, so there's LAFPI, the LA Female Playwrights
That's a good one.
Initiative.
Yes.
So I can't remember what weekend they invite folks to come in. You put like a snippet of your script in a box. They pick randomly, and then you come up. It's awesome because you get to see a lot of different previews, like mini snippets of shows. Also, Jessica Johnson, my director, Jessica Johnson. She every Saturday morning from 9 to 11, she offers a free class on doing solo theater at the White Fighter.
Theater.
White Fighter. And she offers, like the very beginning of her class, like you have to email her ahead of time to tell her first you're going, and then tell her that you have material to present. And then you present to other folks that are barely on their journey of like writing their one-woman show, or one-person show, I should say. Also open mics.
But don't forget, you can put video snippets. You can do commercials. You can do any kind of video clip and put it on the Fringe site next to your ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
all
tried
doable.
that. The video is freezing.
Yeah, don't forget that, man.
Yeah.
Some people do
that.
Sure. We're gonna go here, and then we'll go to you.
Hi, I'm Steve Brock. I'm producing, performing, etc., writing a one-person show about a bisexual identity journey at the Broadwater studio. And my question is mostly for the solo artists, but also if you have any. How do you handle stage management, and then I guess everybody else can say, how do you handle front of house?
I mean, I produce, market, perform, write the shows, everything. So it's great to have an outside person. You're gonna want to like have oversight if you're still producing, but you need a buddy that can put out the fire while you're trying to get into character and getting ready to do the show. If you can find people that will run the box office for you. and help you, fold programs and stay sane and hold the door if you need, then do
My
it.
venue, so Greg
Greg.
and Jen. I was like, Gren? But Greg and Jen, they were really awesome in putting me in touch with Beth Wallen. Well,
So most venues will already have a venue stage manager to run your boards and run your tech during your show. So I'm sure the Broadwater does.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you looking for a rehearsal stage manager?
Possibly. I was just curious about it, but also front of house.
That's
ticket sales
all
on that.
venue to venue, so you
Right.
should check with the Broadwater about
Okay.
that. But I'm sure they have venue stage managers for you already.
I do think the studio, you can bring your own.
Oh, maybe the studio you can bring your own.
Jen, I checked it.
Yeah, we're working everything out. I was just curious if they-
There's for front of house for like folks checking in people. There's some venues that have people already for that, but if they don't, make sure that whoever you have. I mean, I was lucky that I had my partner. So she was like, hey, come over here, check in. But I also helped other folks with front of house and checking in. But be sure that when you are asking someone for that favor of having them check your front of house, like, and check people in, that you empower them, like you give them the list. Be sure that you're there before them. There were some times that I was waiting at a venue and I was waiting for like the artist to come, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I was panicking because it was like 10 minutes to showtime, and I'm like,
Yeah.
And so I would say you empower them with that.
Yeah,
list.
get an advocate that will advocate for you at the door, and then also be able to check 99 people in 5 minutes.
And as a general principle, like find one more person than you think you need.
Yeah.
So you've got like
Definitely.
a swing person, somebody who can be like your backup
Just
when
set
you
of
start to
hands.
get crazy. Because my rule of thumb is I try to, on projects I work on, I try to make sure nobody's wearing more than 2 hats.
Yeah.
It's like maybe it's the writer director, then she's not in the show. She's not the producer. Like
Smart.
the writer actor is not also directing. These kind of things. And I've just found it so helpful over and over to have like one extra person who I can throw stuff to.
Keep yourself sane.
Yeah. Take care of yourself.
Here, and then we'll do here. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Star. I'm doing my one-woman show, #MeToo,
Woohoo!
Studio C. So my question is, you guys gave me so many brilliant ideas for marketing. Thank you. So I now have all these visions of how I want to do my show, like market it differently. And so I'm curious, how did you get somebody, or what did you use to make a round, like I want to make a pussy hat, I'm thinking, as like the action, instead of like a regular poster, but I don't actually know where to go to do that, and then also in terms of graphic design, I think I'd rather do that than just like my photo or like my face, which happened last time. So ideas and
A pussy hat.
not like
Or
no,
like
because
a cutout
that's-
of a hat? Yeah.
like a pussy hat card.
So that's
Oh,
die
like die
cut,
cut. Yeah.
printing is what you're gonna look up. Die cut.
Die cut.
Die.
Die.
cut,
cut.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Die pussy
It
die.
will add quite a lot of money.
It will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's possible. So would it be less money than to do with the hat?
Okay, so check it.
Allie?
What I would do, just from a graphic design background, I would make sure that the background of my postcard is white, and then put the image of a pussy hat, not image like photo image, but graphic design image of a pussy hat on there.
Then you don't have to pay for the die cut.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for the die
Right.
cut. Save your coins.
Well, it depends. It
could
just
be worth it,
depends.
because that sounds really cute.
To me,
I'd
if I
I'd
had
put
the
that on
money,
my
I'd do
mirror.
it. Yeah.
You know?
It
Especially
sounds
if it's
worth
like
it.
Me too.
Some places where you can get printing done. Gotprint.com is kind of one of the go-to.
Yeah.
Arnold the printer
Arnold's right.
does.
Ventura.
Henry printing.
You'd have to check.
I could be honest with you, Arnold will do it. Arnold
Yeah.
will just about do anything.
A
Arnold
smaller
still
printer might be
emails me
better.
to see if I'm doing a Fringe.
Yeah.
Because he really
Yeah.
likes Fringe people.
He does discounts for programs as well.
Got print.
Got print.
Arnold.
Got that.
Arnold. So there's two things.
Two things.
One is gotprint.com. if you're doing simple, like 4x6 postcards, they're really cheap and they're of fine quality. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Another resource is this guy called Arnold the Printer. That's the name of his business. And he might be, if you're looking to do something like a die cut,
He's on Ventura Boulevard in Studio City, and I bet you I have his phone
Studio
number.
City. Don't be sketched out. He doesn't have a website. He just has a phone number. But I mean,
He's great.
At least 60
It's a real
people here
store.
use them. And we use them all the time.
Yeah.
Is there a separate Arnold at Got Print?
Arnold's Print Shop.
No.
Okay.
Arnold's Print Shop, 818-487, always be fringing, 9600. 818-487-9600.
And then sorry, the name of the cut again,
Die
cut.
DIE.
DIE.
Cut.
Good. I'm Jim. My show is called Skin Jobs. It is not pornographic. I didn't even realize until I it's about whitewashing, casting, and superhero movies. I don't have a venue set up yet. I almost had one. I had to rejigger everything, got in the car accident, driving my director back. Lost a couple of weeks. I'm okay, thanks. But my question actually is, and I know it's going to change next year when taxes change, but is there a benefit to creating an LLC, or, you know, especially with
You're gonna have to
things
talk to a tax professional.
Yeah.
We can't offer you any.
No. I'm just wondering, have you guys done it yourselves too? Or,
I've done it on film things, and it's bitten me in the butt when it didn't work,
Okay.
and then we had to break it up.
Yeah.
And then I regret it.
Okay.
We're a general partnership with the state of California. So we're all individually still paying our taxes for the business.
I have an LLC, but it's for my experience design, like work that I do. Only if you expect to be constantly putting up shows and producing, then it's worth the money. But then otherwise, like you don't need it.
that back here?
Or yeah.
If you don't plan on making 20 grand or more, forget it.
Yeah.
But also
talk to your attorney. But talk to your
You got a card?
Talk to your tax person, because we don't know your financial stuff, you know. So.
Hi there. My name is Alea Aquarian, and the name of my show is Psychodelicate's Magical Mystery Show. And it's a variety show hosted by a psychedelic clown with a psychedelic jam band. Love it. Sound good? So my question is for you. You both mentioned you've mentioned some things. Scrappy marketing. What was it? Scrappy grassroots marketing ideas and Budweiser, user experience stuff. I feel like there must be a lot more there. If there's any other big things that you would want to share with us.
Well, to speak to the scrappy grassroots approach, it's about showing up in person.
Yeah.
It is being present, coming to office hours, coming to town halls, making sure that other folks in your show are doing those things too. And if you're a solo show, that you have friends that are coming with you, so that it's not all on you, because that's a great way to burn out. Being present, doing the let's exchange cards, tell me about your show, like present. Can't beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for the folks that are out of town, you can partner up with other folks that are also out of town. I was so fortunate to have Eliza Gibbons from San Francisco, and we met through a Twitter chat, like, you're in San Francisco, cool, so am I. And so sometimes I would be able to come down to LA to market, and I would actually grab a chunk of her flyers and help promote her, and then she would do the same for me. So you can do that.
Partnerships.
But it doesn't matter if it's $5,000 or $5. You gotta scrap. If that's what you want to call it. Me, I call it socializing, because that's where office hours is great, but I work shift work. And last year, I'm like, Jenny, can you make Wednesday? Because I can't. Yeah. Can we make it together? We're going.
Have a plan.
We never have a plan. Never missing office hours. Never. All right. So you get one shot at this. And the saddest thing at the end of the year is when somebody's bitter because their what I call fringe dream didn't come true. And some people will blog about it, and some people, didn't win an award for 4 years. I just wanted to do a show. Other people, that's their goal, is to win the awards, and when they don't win the awards, then they're mad. But if you're not, if that's what it is, I'll buy you the Dust Collector. You know, you can have my high school best actor award. It's still there. That's what I'm saying. This experience, knowing these people, is the best thing in the world.
We're gonna have time.
Skater in the Olympics.
We're gonna have time for only one more question, but we are going out to 3 clubs, and you should all come ask us these questions there. We'll go with you really quick.
My name is Sue. I'm a writer and director for Maronzal. I'm wearing my t-shirt.
Nice. Hard choice.
Okay, so you mentioned outlet for press, but didn't go into details. But where do you find outlet for press?
There is an LA theater like master email press list that is probably pretty outdated that Ashley Steed put together that you can find through a Google search. LA Theater Master Press List, I think, is what it might live on Facebook or something. But the going to the Fringe site and finding shows that already happened like last year that are similar to your show and seeing who wrote about them is a really smart way to do it. Yeah. And then also looking at any press outlet that's, okay, I don't know what your show's about, but like, it's like Alzheimer's. Awesome. I will talk to you all day about that.
And you live in LA?
Yeah, there's plenty of people that would love to write about
Yeah,
your
you
show.
can find journalists that are focusing on that topic and then reach out to them with what you are doing. And so, yeah. definitely.
Support groups, networking groups, anything connected to what your show might be related to. Send somebody and offer them a discount. Give them that hashtag.
Yeah.
That's one of our major.
Well, if you're contacting
sellers.
press, you should give them free tickets.
Right. But press is always free tickets. But I still go through, even the LA Times, I'll go through and I'll take the emails and I'll mail them a press release. Even if they're not going to show, I still take a shot.
I just wanted to say, I actually have to help my friend move after this, but I wanted to give you all my email and my Twitter, just in case if you want to, so I won't be at afterwards, but I'll be at office hours to help support, whatever. My email is Sofie with an F as in Fringe. Woo! Hey Sofie Khan, KHAN @gmail.com, and my Twitter is the same at Hey Sofie Khan.
Sofie IE.
IE.
FIE.
SOFIE KHAN.
Hey.
Hey. K. Oh, hey, as in hey. HEY. Yes. So I just wanted to make sure.
If you want to see Sunday, the Pico, we open. We'll be running on Sundays from now until May. It's last year's best solo performance. It's under the Jello mold at the Pico Playhouse till May.
Great show. And I'm also performing at the LA Women's Theater Festival with Jenny on Sunday, April 1st at the Electric Lodge. So, yeah.
All right. So, thank you all for coming. This was incredible. We're
going to be quiet in the lobby.
Yeah. Everybody remember to be quiet in the lobby. Make sure you're signed up for Fringe email. Sign up for social media. Like us on Facebook. Use HFF18. Email support at HollywoodFringe.org. See you at